It's good just to let music kind of slow down, just slow down your mind a little bit. Or speed it up, one of the two. Here we want to talk to you a little bit about something really important. We keep hearing this idea of being coachable and being moldable is a term. If you guys are familiar with that. Anyway, it got me thinking. I'm an artist, do a little illustration of a clay pot. Yeah, come over like this. I don't know if you guys have worked with clay much, but I have a little bit, enough to know a couple things about clay. That when you're working with clay, you want to be moldable. You want to be like clay, moldable. If you've heard of this terminology, but you got to be, moldable. Like you can be molded. You're not set in your ways. You're pliable. Anyway, so I work with clay. One thing you find out when you're working with clay that's wet is that it has this tendency to want to sag. It's constantly kind of low. It just sinks down. So as you're working with it, you're kind of constantly pushing it up, constantly trying to keep it going upwards. And you also constantly trying to keep it nice and even so that it doesn't collapse. Another problem is if it gets too thin, that it will collapse. And I think, I'm sure you probably can start thinking of the analogy of this as just be encouraged. Especially when you're starting something new, some kind of new business, or you're doing some kind of new venture, you just got to totally talk to yourself and be very just positive. You can't, especially when it's a new project, because there's a tendency to want to just to collapse. So you're crushed down. I heard it when Jerry Seinfeld was talking about Larry David. He said he'd be so confident on this joke, and then he would just crush like an egg. His joke, he didn't, think it was that funny after a while. But anyway, it's just kind of funny to see that. Anyway, so just be encouraged when you're starting new things. And I know, this could go a lot of different directions. Like the base on this is a lot thicker than this section up here too. You have to have a really strong base. For corporate, I can go into it for in terms of what, there's a lot of biblical verses that talk about being clay, we are the clay and God is the potter. And the clay doesn't tell the potter what to make. The potter just makes what he wants to make. So God just makes with us what he wants. You just be what God has designed you to be. Okay? And that's just whether you are any kind of spiritual believer or not, that applies. There's nothing offensive in that, or earth-shattering, negative there for you. But anyway, so we want to be pliable, because once this gets hard, once it gets set, then it's no longer, once it starts drying out, then it's no longer, you can't shape it anymore. And I've worked with clay enough to know that this is really a hard time when you got this is hardened up. And so just keep your hearts pliable also. Anyway, here we go. Helping people, inspiring people. That's what this channel's all about. Boom. Hope you guys like that. Like and subscribe. Talk to you later.